We are recording.
All right, welcome everybody to another Soccer Family podcast episode. All right, today we have KG.
What's going on?
We have Akan.
What's up, everybody?
We have Nahom.
You're mute, bro.
Nahom.
What's going on, everyone? That was a trick.
And we have Bernard.
Hey, well, how we doing?
All right. So now everybody's been introduced. Let's get into it. Most recently in the news, we've transitioned from COVID-19 to a lot of touchy issues going on in the media. That being racism. We've dealt with it in football, and now we're dealing with it again in the real world. So I want to go ahead and start off by asking Nahom, how do you feel about what's going on in the media right now, how it relates to football to you?
First, I want to start off by saying rest in peace, George Floyd. It was sickening to watch the video, an all too familiar video of Black men being killed at the hands of police, which stems from just a systematic racism that happens in America. That unfortunately took this video to it's like the straw that brought the camel's back, where we're talking about systemic racism and Black people's lack of access to healthcare, education, you name it, community, housing, criminal justice system. I could keep going. So it's just it shuns the light on America. So I think as heartbreaking as it is, I think that it's hopefully going to bring about conversation, and not just conversation, but actual actions that are going to be implemented. One of which should be defunding the police and putting that money into community, so we get to the root of the problem versus just locking up more brothers. So that's my take on it. And in terms of how it relates to football, I was really proud to see the football community come together. Everybody blacked out their Instagrams, contributed money to Chelsea, my beloved club, took a knee and took a picture. Great PR. So I thought it was awesome for them to do that, and to have a rally around the nation. Because of that video, it resonated with me, and I'm proud of that. But hopefully we see about change. So that's my take on it.
Okay. I'm glad to hear your take. Very positive. Akan, I'm going to hear from you.
Yeah, first of all, R.I.P. George Floyd. I was really happy to see the football community really come together and honor, really recognize what happened and really show their support. Weston McKennie, you saw a lot of American players in the Bundesliga, wear armbands, and the league overall put out a statement, and that's rare. You don't really see entire leagues come together and make, I wouldn't say political statements or statements about what's going on in society now, and how it relates to Black people. So I was very happy to see that. So I thought it was great, and I hope we see more of that when the Premier League opens back up, and La Liga as well.
Yeah, I think the guys are chomping at the bit to get started, and I'm sure with the goals will come George Floyd celebrations. So let's hear from KG on this.
Yeah, man. I mean, us all living here in the United States, we kind of experience this stuff on a daily basis. So, I feel like what's understood doesn't need to be said, just because we live this life every day. You know what I mean? So I think it's really refreshing to see so many people acknowledge what we already know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we deal with it on a daily basis. And to see people finally acknowledge it and, realize that there is a problem. I feel like so many times, like in America, when these circumstances have happened, there's always a caveat. But if you would have done this, but if you would have done this, and slowly but surely, all of those buts are starting to be, they're basically no longer excuses for what's been transpiring. So for me, I big props to the soccer community, because like you guys said, they did come together and show support for black African Americans. So well, African Americans, and it's good because it's no longer just a national movement, it's a worldwide movement now.
All right, KG. Before I get to Bernard, I want to ask you, and this is I'm gonna leave this open for the other guys as well. What do you think the football community can do to solve like it's great that everybody's jumping on the Floyd bandwagon. What can football do to kind of like eradicate their own race problems with racism? Guys throwing bananas on the field, guys calling each other negrito, different instances that we've observed throughout the course of our times as football fans. How can we hear it from players all the time? Most recently, Balotelli, about their experiences with racism. So, what can football do to fix its own racism problem? Do you think?
I think it's going to come. It's going to start with internal policing, right? The same way that we think that the police need to be able to call each other out. It's the same thing with footballers. Like, if you're a footballer, it doesn't matter how good your teammate is. He could be Lionel Messi. Like, if he's a racist, he's a racist, and that should be known to not only your team but the public. You know what I mean? So to me, what they need to start doing is, we all know guys who we played with who were racist to a certain extent, right? Or who displayed racist tendencies. And a lot of times, the inclination is to let it slide because sometimes maybe they're a good player or you need them for the team. But I think what football can do is they can start self-policing. When guys come out and do racist things and say racist things, their teammates should be the ones that are checking them. They shouldn't be waiting for anybody else, because you sit in the locker room with this guy every single day. You know what I mean? You see him every single day. How can you sit here and ignore it, but then call for justice on the other hand when you're practicing every single day with a guy who you allow to slide? So I think I think that's kind of where we need to start, or that's where football should start. And I think that now that a lot of guys have spoken out and they haven't received the traditional backlash that they have traditionally for speaking on these issues, I think we're going to see a lot more of it.
One thing I want to add to that is I don't think it's as much of a problem in the locker room as it is in the crowd, in the fans. So, like, quickly, because I know B got to talk, but quickly, what I think, the punishment doesn't fit the crime is unfortunately what happens. I don't know if you remember 4 or 5 months ago when the Bulgarian fans were making monkey chants, they got an $80,000 fine and an empty stadium.
$5,000 fine. 5,000 euros.
No, it was 75,000. The FA, the Bulgarian FA got. Yeah. So that's not a heavy enough sanction. They should be thrown out of that tournament and the tournament after that as well. When you start having these punishments, people are going to follow. Same reasons why, if you have capital punishment, death penalty, right? You're thinking about that before you do this thing. Well, at least we hope you're thinking about that. These little slaps on the wrist aren't doing enough. Simple. And so Balotelli gets criticized by the club president when his fans are making monkey chants at him. Fabrizia, right? That the FIFA should step in and say 15-point deduction and millions of dollars of fines. I guarantee they will find a way to police the fans. That's my all. I'll let B talk.
But you see, now this is where my frustration comes in with this whole thing. Right? Now, the fines is good, right? It's good that you're punishing them, but that don't necessarily fix the problem. That's you putting a Band-Aid over a cut, right? You're not actually fixing it where you find them, because some of those people, they have so much money, they don't really care, right? Is the same frustration I have with the protesting. My problem is not us protesting. My problem is that I don't see the solutions being laid out. Like, this is like the 12th day of protesting. The objective of a protest is for you to make people aware. The whole world is aware of the racism and what's going on in the world. Now that people are aware, what are we going to do? What are the steps and the measures that we're going to take to prevent these things from happening? Because police brutality is bad, but there's a real police brutality is not the fixing police brutality will not stop racism. We need to understand and we need to solve and we need to fix what is going on in that police officer's brain that leads him to want to shoot a black man for no reason, right? Because there is something that's going on in his head to make him think that the black man's life is not worth anything. So he can take up he can within a second you go and fire and kill a black man. That's where my frustration is, because we protest, we walk down the street. Okay, that is good and that is great. But what are we going to do to fix it? That's why I was so happy when you asked, what are some solutions that? Because that's what I'm looking for. I'm tired of the protesting now. Everyone know what the problem is. So, okay, so let's see what we can do. I think, right, the first thing I think we need to start working on controlling the message. I think that is extremely important, right? When I say control the message, I mean, like, you see how, because you see in America, it's when they have an agenda that they're trying to push through to the kids, right? No, they have, you see the gay and the lesbian agenda. No, I'm not saying that any of us is against the gay and lesbian community, because we're not. We have no problem with the lesbian. So let me just come out and say that first, right? But you see, when you talk about stuff like that, you see, once there are kids, you see in kids, they start pushing that message into cartoons where they're saying that, listen, in this society, a man and a woman, it's normal. You have two men living together in society, right? That's the message that they start to spoon feed us as kids, so they grow up seeing that, oh, this is normal. So this is so when you become 10 and 12, that's a non-issue now, right? As though it was before, or people used to be so far against it. I think we need to start putting the images of the black man on TV is always of three things. Always of him being a criminal, or someone into sports, or he's into entertainment. Why are we not seeing the black lawyers on TV? Why are we not seeing the black doctors? Why are we not seeing the black man in a positive? I was just watching something on Muhammad where he's doing an interview and he's saying that he's talking to his mother. Right? I don't know if you guys have seen it, and he's talking to his mother where he said everything that they talk about the white man is good, and everything that they talk about the black man is bad. And that comes from, if you start educating the kids that you being black is a positive thing. That's so. Every time you watch a movie, the black man dies first, or the black man is a criminal. And these things are you see how small these details. You see these little small things. These things are extremely important. We going on marching and say, oh, we want this guy fired and that. Okay, that's fine. But then there are going to be other police officers who are racist. That don't fix it. But we need to fix it.
See, I gotta stop you on this one, because there are plans out there. Maybe you haven't seen them, but there are plans out there to de-weaponize police officers, to have more trainings, literally like bullet points of things that we can do.
But now home, that's done.
And then but now home, that's but wait. Done, I don't think that's
this is what I'm saying. Yeah, but this is what I'm saying.
Protesting doesn't get anything accomplished.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying. I would never say protesting don't get anything accomplished. What I'm saying is that this is day 12 of protesting. Yeah. I want to see other things. Because protesting make everyone aware. The whole world is aware. They're protesting in Jamaica. They're protesting everywhere.
But
We're all
it's not a
aware.
light switch. It's
Right.
not. It's
So
not.
guys,
What
Yeah,
you
but there needs
guys,
to
what you
be
said
there needs to
is
be
a small part of the pie. Small part of the pie.
so
You're saying build the black man into something that the white man doesn't look at as an inferior, right? Is that what you're trying to say? A positive.
no. I said no. Yeah, I say we need to change the image of how the black man is viewed. The black man is viewed as
But that's long
being
term,
less,
B. Short term, what
and
do we
that's
do?
how you fix the problem.
I think B
Right?
B is
Not
talking
short term.
B is talking more on a macro level. He's talking big picture, top down. The perception needs to change, and I think we're still in the early stages. So I think it's baby steps. Over time, I think we will be able to address what B is talking about. But in the short term, I think people are frustrated and they're showing their frustration. And that's what you're seeing is just a lot of passion in these protests. And that's the start. So I think eventually there will be changes, there will be legislation, and people will start to execute plans. But I think 12 days is just not a lot of time to see plans in order. I think plans will be put into order, into execution soon. But right now, people are just getting their frustrations out in the street.
I think we have to make a discernible. We have to make we have to differentiate theory from policy, right? So right now we have ideas as to what we know needs to transpire, but changing theory into actionable policy is always kind of the gray area because at the end of the day, the politicians and the leaders that we elect are going to be the people who are responsible for putting these policies into place. So right now, the people who are in power and people who are responsible for creating and making policy, their agendas don't align with this movement. That's why in November in America, it's going to be so important that we all get out and vote because the people who we put into power are going to be the people who are going to be implementing our policies. So like Akan said, the system will be fixed. This is not just going to go away. I don't see this just fizzling out. Like it's not. Well, in my 34 years, I've never seen anything like this. But in America, that's always what the difficulty is. It's all right, like you said, who is going to go and make these changes? For so long, the African American community has not held our leadership up to. We haven't held them up to their own standards. They make us promises and nothing ever happens, right? So in November, it's going to be up to us to make sure that the people who we are putting in office have our agenda and speak directly to what they're going to do to solve the ills that are going on in America. So, B, you asked, what can we do? At the end of the day, the most powerful thing that we can all do is vote.
Okay. Well said, lads. Before I move on, I'm gonna transition into some more, into some football questions. Does anybody have anything else to add? All right.
I just want to add, soccer family loves everyone. We support everyone in their cause.
For sure. And rest in peace. I didn't get the opportunity to say rest in peace to George Floyd. So I'm going to transition into football. Next week, the Premier League starts. The season opener is going to be Arsenal versus Manchester City.
I think I came on the right time.
Why is that funny?
I came on the right
time. So I have a question. This question is going to be based we all have our individual clubs we support. We got 2 Chelsea supporters, 2 Arsenal supporters, and now Manchester United supporters. So I'm going to start off with the Chelsea supporter, Kevin. I want you to give an advantage and a disadvantage that you would say, so give an advantage your club has gained and a disadvantage that has occurred through the COVID-19.
We've been able to get healthy. So we had a couple players that were facing long-term injuries and just coming back to health. So Pulisic was hurt. He's going to be back healthy. Ruben Loftus-Cheek has been hurt since last year. He's coming back healthy. Colin Hudson-Odoi was just coming off his ruptured Achilles, so he's going to be even further along in his recovery. So I think from a squad perspective, we were able to get healthy and we were able to get some players. And in addition, we were able to buy some. I mean, obviously, we're making splashes in the market. So these young guys are gonna have to these young guys are going to have to step up their game because they already know that they already see the 2-class players that Chelsea have bought that are coming in this summer. So this is basically like their audition. They can't claim to not be inexperienced anymore because they've basically played a whole season. You know, they know the Premier League now, so it's time to either shut up or put up. And you know Chelsea is going to continue to spend money this summer, so.
Hudson-Odoi, Loftus-Cheek, and Pulisic. That's the big change that you guys have in Chelsea. Like
Tammy Abraham was injured before the break too.
And those are you're so in the beginning of the season, you guys were all saying Pulisic is trash, and then
who said that?
Trash. You guys were all talking about how Pulisic is not gonna be replacing Hazard and how Pulisic needs more time and he's not that good. And all of a sudden, you're talking about how the fact that Hudson-Odoi and Pulisic is coming off of injury.
So that's a good thing. You can't argue that.
But so you're saying that they're going to be the game changer? Is that what you're saying, KG?
We're ahead.
Would you rather have healthy players or injured players? It's simple.
Every single team in the Premier League is going to be coming back healthy. So
that's not true. I bet you Pogba don't play.
What?
All right.
What do you mean? Pogba don't play? Okay, hold on. Let's.
So even if,
go ahead.
Even if he asked advantages for Chelsea, he didn't say advantages for the whole for every team. So that's an advantage for Chelsea. It might be an advantage for everybody else too. So that's what he asked about.
Pulisic coming back.
So what's your con? So what's the negative for Chelsea then? Because
I didn't hear any negative.
My negative for Chelsea is that we have a young squad, and so in times like these guys aren't seasoned grizzled professionals. So that's some of these guys are going to be playing behind closed doors isn't going to affect some of these guys, but these young guys who oftentimes rely on energy and are always up. Like it's going to be different playing behind closed doors. These guys aren't professional. These guys aren't seasoned professionals like some of the other players in the league. I think seasoned professionals are going to gain.
KG, you left out one disadvantage that you guys have occurred over this period. I'm going to transition onto the other Chelsea fan and see if he catches it, and if he doesn't, I will. But now, give me an advantage and disadvantage that Chelsea has occurred through the COVID-19 pandemic break.
So what kind of game are you playing that you're baiting me to find the answer, or you'll find the answer?
No, I'm not baiting. I'm not baiting at all.
100% I'm baiting.
Are you talking about Conte not playing?
Just answer. You had your opportunity to give an advantage or disadvantage.
KG, I don't have to hit on advantages. KG hit on every advantage. One thing I will add is Klopp had an interview this week where he said why they didn't buy Werner, and he said, or players like him, and they said, we have to refund everybody their tickets, and next season most likely we're not going to have any fans. So they're forecasting already, right? So there's a money issue.
Right.
Remember, they almost furloughed employees as well. First club to almost furlough employees from the Premiership. So with us, we haven't spent that much money in the last 2 windows by force, somewhat. But so we've been able to to save some money, and so we have that budget, that extra budget to spend it, right? From a disadvantage perspective, I think the disadvantage is more of the unpredictability, man. Like not to have fans and play in the stadium, I agree with that. And then Conte, contrary to popular belief, is training with the other players. So I don't know is that what you guys thought was a disadvantage, but that's my take.
Yeah, I apologize for giving off the impression that I was baiting you. I'm the host. I got to be neutral, although I'm an Arsenal fan. So I'm going to transition on to Bernard. I want to ask you, advantage, disadvantage Arsenal through the COVID-19 pandemic period.
Figo, don't show no weak. Don't let these guys fool you, man. Don't apologize to these guys for nothing. Apologize for what? Man.
I would say the advantage for Arsenal is that because of the situation that we're in when there's no fans, I would think that the most talented team, not just for Arsenal, for all of the bigger teams, I think the team with the most talent will probably win all the games, most of the games, home or away, because we're going to lose that fan factor that would give you that 12th man. So Arsenal playing the team that's less talented than them, they'll even if they're playing them away, they probably can win that game. They probably have a higher percentage of winning that game normally if they were playing away with fans, right? Because the fan factor is not there, right? But the disadvantage, you're playing Man City, right? But the thing is that the advantage and disadvantage can be even up based on how the players prepare themselves during this break, right? So if players were really being serious in terms of their preparation, in terms of them working out and doing everything that they were supposed to do, they would be because I think a lot of the results of the game is going to be based on condition, players' fitness, and how much they are in condition. So if the Arsenal players were on their job, and let's say the Man City players weren't on their job, you know, that could just work out in our favor. That's what I think.
Okay. I like that. I like everybody's answer so far. Akan, advantage, disadvantage your club is going through right now due to the break in COVID-19.
Listen, the advantage of COVID-19 from an Arsenal perspective, health, number one, was huge. We've always had injury problems. We've never been able to field the first choice 11. So I think that'll be a big boost for us. And the second advantage is we get more time for our new coach. Mikel Arteta is going to have more time with the boys. He's going to be able to implement his tactical vision, you know, his plan for the club. And that's important with a young squad and a new manager coming in, getting more training time with the boss and more tactical sessions and more one-on-one training. That could only improve the club and the way that we play. You know, he's a Guardiola disciple, as much as I hate to say that. And these guys are really detailed. So, you know, giving that man time to put his plan together, go over the X's and O's, that'll be huge for us. So I'll be interested to see the end product on the field, man.
Okay. And I'm going to transition on to M. But before I do that, I'm going to throw in there that one advantage I feel that we've gained as Arsenal supporters, as Arsenal Football Club, is we're fighting for that top 4 now, top 5 position. And towards the right before the break, due to the pandemic, Manchester United started to gain some momentum. So I think, you know, for us, an advantage is those guys, we were able to slow their momentum. So M, go ahead and answer the question. Advantage.
One more thing, I'll be honest with you. There's no disadvantage to COVID at all for Arsenal. I think COVID was a welcome break for us overall.
We were sinking.
I don't think it hurt us.
So Figo, you said that you guys are fighting for top 4. Is that what you guys said?
Top 4. Remember, top 5 now. Top 5 now.
Oh, I'm sorry. So you guys said that you're fighting for top. Arsenal is fighting for top 5.
Yes, sir.
And what position are you guys now?
I don't know. We'll be in 8th, 9th, 10th, maybe.
Okay. But that's
you don't know?
I was just
no. M. That's relative. What you're saying is you're
no.
B. Let me finish.
Like KG always says, that's a fact.
Let me
We're
finish.
talking about relative.
Yeah.
A fact is that you guys are in that. Go ahead. Sorry, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, but my point is, between Arsenal and the team that's in 4th or 5th is not like it's a million points. Plus, Arsenal game in hand, looking at and say, oh, Arsenal is in 9th position. But we are, let's say, I don't even know, points off. and we have a game in hand. So anything can happen. This is we have 5 points off with a game in hand.
Correct.
So and the interesting thing is Manchester United next game they're playing Tottenham. So both of them. So someone will drop points.
Okay,
that's Manchester United's first game. So it's not. So I'm just saying. What I'm saying is, it's not far fetched. Don't give off the impression that we're in 9th. Okay, the team that's in 8th and the team that's in 7 is 1 or 2 points ahead.
Okay, so
none of you guys are making the Champions League anyway. So I don't know why y'all even talking right now.
KG, this is what you need to do. KG,
we have Nostradamus on the podcast.
Yeah.
Nostradamus. Everything.
Nostradamus,
amazing.
KG, you can go and sip your truly somewhere.
You don't gotta be like you said.
I'm not talking about history. I'm talking about the now, right?
You gotta look at the facts. Up until this
exactly.
You
so
are
like KG said,
Answer the question.
Like KG always says, we're looking at facts right now, and the fact is Arsenal is 9th. Okay, so you guys are talking about top 4. That already is it's blasphemy. So let's not be rude. For Manchester United, let's reel it back in a little bit. Okay, so the advantages, what I find for my team, we have health is definitely a factor, and I feel like we are now getting to see what Pogba is getting a chance or opportunity to prove himself before this transfer window opens, even though the pandemic has made a significant hit on everybody's buying powers. But he has the opportunity now to play on a team that has the likes of Bruno Fernandes, Rashford, with a potential Sancho or a Jack Grealish. We have a relatively decent backline with Harry Maguire and Wan-Bissaka trying to hold it down back there. We have David Gea. So the players we have big quality players. So the fact that Paul Pogba is coming back, everybody wants to see what he's going to be bringing to the table, and if he can actually gel into the team. What's going bad for us is the fact that we were on a 10-game I don't want to say a 10-game non-losing streak, which is in our times right now for a Manchester United fan, that's kind of all we kind of want. I think we won 6 out of the 10 games. Bruno Fernandes, since January, he has been an impact player. So we're all looking forward to seeing what he has to offer. You telling me that we are playing against Tottenham our very first game means, to me, there's no excuses anymore, because we played against Manchester City. I think we beat them 3 times this season. We played against Chelsea. We beat Chelsea twice. We played against Tottenham. After we played against